Welcome back to Miller's Construction. Would you like to know how to build your own carport? How about an inexpensive carport and a quick and easy one to build? On this episode, we're going to show you exactly how we're going to build this one, and I think you'll enjoy it. Stick around. There we go.
Ready?
Yep. There we go. All right, these are the first steps that we took. First of all, we've got all of our concrete distributed for each hole. We've got our posts in the hole. And then what we did, we know that the lath for the roof is going to be 2x4, 12 feet long. This is a 24 by 24 foot building, okay? So we took 2x4 12s that we will repurpose, and we tied them together using another 2x4 12, using just some screws. That way we can take it all back apart. And then we measured and we cut this unit to exactly 24 feet. So now what we've done is we've essentially tied together 24 feet all the way around. Hopefully that makes sense. Just by tacking these up and making sure this is flush everywhere on the bottom and the top. What that's going to do is that's going to give us a little bit of stability. It's going to make it easier to square this thing up, and it's going to get us exactly where we need to be in our 24-foot measurement. Now we are ready to square up the building, and this is essential, especially if you're going to be putting on any siding, or like we're going to be putting on siding up in the gables, but also your roof. If you start square, you're going to end up square. So we've got a 24-foot structure. I'm going to pull out my Construction Master Pro calculator, and we're just going to do this the easy way, folks. The size of these posts are 5.5 inches. That's a nominal measurement of a 6x6, right? 5.5 inches. What we're going to do is we're going to square up to the inside, so the inside corner of these posts. So essentially we've moved the building in 5.5 inches all the way around. So 5.5 inches times 2 is 11 inches. We go 24 feet minus our 11 inches. That's, excuse me, I put that in wrong. 24 feet minus 11 inches. That's 23 feet 1 inch. That is going to be our length. 23 feet 1 inch. That's also going to be our width. Then I hit width again, and there's our square up measurement. We should be able to take a tape, bump it on this point on the inside of the posts to that inside of the point on that post, and if it reads that measurement, we're perfectly square. You're 32.6 1/4 right now?
Let's do it this other way.
Okay, come over here, Chase. So this is the benefit. We'll be able to shift these in the hole just a little bit. 32.10 1/2. Well, it should be. We know that we need to shift it a little bit.
So what we need to do is we need to bring this corner in,
yep,
that corner in.
Yep, that's right. This is my Johnson plate level, and I absolutely love this thing.
Oh, good. Here.
Boom.
Go. All right, so we don't have to leave any time soon.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so in this orientation, we got to go that way significantly. Whoa.
Okay. Right,
You're about perfect right there.
All right, just a minute. Let's go ahead and get this.
Maybe just a hair more.
In.
Whoa. That's pretty freaking close.
All right, let me drive them stakes. I think right there's good, Chase. Yeah.
All right, measure it. That's about right. All right, all of our concrete is poured. We're looking good. I know a question that I'll probably get in the comments: how deep did you dig your post holes? Well, it depends on the area. Here, our frost depth is about 10 inches, something like that. But this is a little bit different. That we're not talking about frost heave doesn't play as big of a role in this particular application, because we know we need to go deeper than that anyways We couldn't put these in 10 inches deep and expect them to have a whole lot of lateral resistance. So we went 24 inches. 24 inches seems to be a really good number for us in our area. However, if you're in a much colder climate, your frost depth is lower, you might want to go even deeper than that. But for our area and for what we deal with, 24 inches seems to be pretty good. We'll be back Monday morning and we'll start the rest of our structure. Monday morning, folks, and this concrete was poured Thursday morning. So it's had a few days to set up, and these babies are solid as a rock. So we've got our tripod set up, and we're actually just using the DeWalt high precision laser, but any laser will do really, as long as it's accurate within, you know, that distance. A rotary laser obviously will work very well for this. But in the morning, nice bright green line. We know that we're perfectly level on all these posts where that green line hits. So all we've got to do is measure up. We figured out that this is the lowest post. So we're gonna go with this one, our measurement up. We're gonna make these other three the same height as this low post based off of that laser. What's your measurement there, Kay? 20 and a half?
20 and a half right there.
All right, so what Kay is doing here, he's determined that the top of that post is 20 and a half inches from the laser. So he's just transferring that to all the other posts. He's got a square here. He's measured up from that laser 20 and a half inches, and you can see how much it's got to come off of this post to be level. Saw on a square, sir. Well, we ain't got much cut off of this one. Special K's over here marking our notch out for our LVLs that are sitting right over there. So we've got to cut this seat cut right here, and then we've got to cut this vertical cut so that this post will accept our LVLs and will have full bearing weight on the posts. That's really the best way to do it. So I've got my saw cut or set to depth on my blade here. There we go. See, I've got it set to the depth. Now I need to cut up this vertical leg here. There we go. Posts are notched. That wasn't too bad. And I feel like they're pretty doggone straight, level, plumb. Now we've got full bearing on our posts for our LVL, which is going to be really nice. So now we are actually going to prep our LVLs before installing them. So we've got these nice hangers, hurricane ties, whatever you want to call them, metal connectors. And basically we're going to space these trusses out on these metal connectors. We're going to pre-attach these. That's less ladder work for us if we can have the connectors already on the posts when we set them. Something that I want to draw your attention to real quick before I forget. Special K has taken the liberty of going ahead and marking the trusses for the lathe locations. So basically, what'd you do, K? Pull a tape off of the tail end of the truss and 2 foot on center, right? We like our lathe 2 foot on center, so it's easier to do it while the trusses are on the ground. We've got all of our lathe locations. That will be critical further on in the video. Now we come over here. Show me what you're talking about over here, okay? We've marked all of our lathe as well, is that correct? There we go. So that's got all of our lathe marked. So essentially what that's gonna do is that's gonna help us to line up those trusses so that they're perfectly plumb, right?
Correct.
So you pull the tape and you mark that 3 foot. We're gonna go about 3 foot on center on our trusses, correct? About 3 foot on center. Now, something to note, folks, when it comes to trusses and engineering and all that stuff, we have to remember that this is just a carport. We're in Arkansas. We don't get a ton of snow every year. We've built several of these like this where we've went 3 foot on center, never had an issue. That's why we're doing it that way, but in your area, you might have to check your local city codes, county codes, state codes, whatever the case might be. We're in the county here. They allow us to do this. We've never had an issue with it, so that's why we're going 3 foot on center with our trusses. And we're also doing 3/12 pitch, right? We like a little bit flatter pitch, less steep to climb up. We just don't have that snow load problem here. So I got to do that all the way down there, but basically what these do is these are gonna hold your trusses down tight to these LVLs, and they're gonna resist that uplift, you know, for straight line winds, tornadoes, things like that. They work really, really well. Got all 3 nails in. Now when we set our trusses, we can tack 3 nails on that side, 2 nails on this side, and this dude right here will make it so much faster, so much easier. I love this tool. We are actually going to pivot into something a little bit different now. We don't have our structural fasteners for our posts. We cut those notches this morning, and I've got some really nice U2 fastener construction screws coming in. They should be in this afternoon, so I don't know if we're gonna put those LVLs up today or tomorrow. We might temporary them up and then just pull the fastener that we use back out when the structural screws come in. So because of that, we've got the LVLs just resting right now. We're not gonna put those up. We're gonna transition into our gable trusses. So we've got 2 gable trusses that we need to fully prep. We want to do it on the ground instead of in the air. So what we're going to do, because we have a skid steer on site and we're going to be able to lift this truss up, we're actually going to prep this entire truss on the ground before we ever hang the truss. And we're only doing this because we have the skid steer and we're able to pick up a lot of weight. So what we really need to do is we need to go ahead and put our structural sheathing on. Then we're going to wrap it with a really high quality house wrap, Type R. That's what I like to use. After that, we're ready to install our smartside. We've got a piece of trim, 5/4, that we're going to put at the top. And we've got a couple of details I want to show you on that, how we're going to do that. But basically, we're going to have this entire gable end truss sheathed, house wrap, siding, and then we're going to hang it with the skid steer. So it'll just be easier that way. So I'll step you through that process as we go on this. Let's even this up. Keep coming this way. Let me just hang this right quick. We're going to get this even. Okay. And we want to make sure we're even on the bottom. That's good right there. Yeah, you're looking pretty good, ain't you? Yep. There's a nail in it. There's a nail in it. Perfect, man. There we go. Nice, nice, nice. Cut our sheathing. I like this flex router. There we go. Now come around here, Chase, and show the folks at home how clean that makes that look right there. Yeah, look at this. Right around that edge, nice and clean, accurate cuts. That's what we want. All right. Let's just come down here with it. Since the bottom's straight, we should go with the bottom. Yep. We'll just go extra right here. Okay.
I wouldn't do that.
Why not?
Come up, start right at your point there. That way you can go straight across.
Okay.
And you won't waste a whole bunch.
Okay. We're gonna go to the halfway point, and then what we cut off will work for the other side.
There you go.
Here, okay. Roll that out.
All right, let me have it. I got it.
Yep. You stay flat on yours, Chase?
Yep. Right there.
Yep. All right, Chase, I'm kind of stretching. You good?
Yep.
All right, okay. We've got our beautiful Type R drainable house wrap installed. We've got our sheathing installed. Now we've got to start putting our siding on, our LP smartside. This is just our primed LP smartside. It's readily available. We get ours at Menards if we're just getting the primed stuff. If you're putting it on a whole house, I highly recommend Diamond Coat. It's pre-finished, no fade guarantee. It's my favorite. Only way to go, in my opinion, for siding. But for this is just a carport. We want quick and easy. And this is a really nice durable product, 50-year warranty. So that's a really nice thing. But here's the thing. My local lumberyard did not sell the 5/4, or Menards rather, the 5/4 by 4 trim boards. So we had to buy a 1x8 or a 5/4 by 8. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna rip it in half, and that will give us 2 boards that are, you know, about 3 5/8. And by doing that, we're gonna have plenty of trim boards showing, and we'll show you a little bit more on that. But first, I've got to rip it. Easiest way, in my opinion, is just use a circ saw. There we go. Now we have 2, basically 5/4 by 4 boards. Now we're gonna take it one step further, and we're gonna rabbet out the back side. That way we don't have to caulk everywhere they want a 3/16 gap at the top. It'll be faster and easier. All right, here we go, folks. We've got our feather board set up. We're gonna rip a rabbet in this LP. I just want to stop and show you what we're doing right quick. So we're actually going to pad out our 5/4 trim board. We just think it's going to look a lot better with a nice flat trim board for our rake trim to sit flat on top of and fasten to. So that's why we're using some 5/4 LP smartside trim. And we don't like having to caulk this joint where our siding is going to terminate into our trim. So to avoid that issue, what we've done is we have rabbeted a little bit out of the back side of our trim board. That will accept siding, but we're also going to maintain some integrity of the actual trim board, we're just gonna feather this out. So we're just padding this out with some scrap OSB. We'll nail that on, then we'll put our trim board on top of it, and that will create a nice little pocket, a J pocket, if you will, for our siding to tuck up into. We still have to maintain expansion and contraction. However, we don't have to worry about caulking because the gap is going to be concealed behind this rabbet. All right, these are just some scrap pieces that we have left over that we rip down to size. What do we rip these to, Kay? About 4 inches. About 4 inches, folks. So our trim board is 3 5/8. We're actually going to drop it down a little bit to give it more exposure from that trim. It'll make sense. Trust me, it'll make sense when we're done. You'll be able to see exactly what we got going on. I want to explain this detail to you folks that aren't familiar with lap siding. Typically, we would take a piece of lap siding, rip 1 inch off of it, and that would start our laps, because your siding, once it starts stacking on top of each other, it's going to be kicked out or beveled out. If you don't start with it beveled out, the bottom piece is going to look flat, and then the rest are going to be on top of each other, you know, for the lap, the reveal. So you got to start with some scrap, and typically we start with about a 1 inch piece, because this is an 8 inch LP Smart Side. It's going to have a 7 inch reveal approximately. So we've got, instead of wasting a big rip off of our siding, we've got some extra treated material from another job that we did the other day. And so we're just using that just because we've got it. No sense in wasting the material. And it's going to work exactly the same. It's about 3/8 thick. All right, folks, we are going to be using 2 different siding nailers here. This is the cordless siding and fencing nailer. And this is the Tetra Grip siding nailer, both of them made by Paslode, and I love both of them. But they both have 2 different use cases, really. These are Tetra Grip nails, and I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but these things are only about 1 1/8 long, and they have a twisted shank, and they have barbs sticking out. This is a studless nailing system right here, and essentially you don't have to worry about hitting studs when using this particular nailer. So that's why we like it. However, it is pneumatic. I wish it were cordless. That's okay. The reason we've got the cordless regular coil siding nailer out is because we're going to be nailing on the trim on the top. We have to have, this will only nail 3/8 lap siding. It's not made for the 5/4 trim boards that we're going to be putting on the top. That nailer shoots 2 inch or 2 1/8 if you want. 1 7/8 and 2 inch, I believe, are the fastener sizes that they offer for that. So, because we don't know where our studs are back here on this truss, we don't have to worry about it with this system. This is a studless system. Got you.
That's good. That's the one we're going to start with.
Okay. So here's our first piece of siding we're going to install, folks. Now, LP Smart Side is engineered wood siding. That means it can expand and contract. We have to leave an expansion joint of at least 3/16 for this particular. Oh yeah, you're going to drop that down just a hair, aren't you? Just a hair. I got you.
How much we need there? About that much?
That's plenty. That's like a full 1/4 inch, folks. So because of that rabbit, we don't have to get too crazy with this.
Down here.
Perfect.
Look at that.
Yeah, we're just a little bit out of whack here, ain't we?
Right there.
You like it?
Yep. Okay. That should straighten it up.
There we go.
Boy.
Turkey saw.
That's pretty good there.
Turkey saw. Ain't bad.
This thing can flip around now.
You good?
Yep. Now come down here. There.
Now this is a real important detail that I do anytime I'm installing LP SmartSide. We've got our 3/16 expansion joint, and I prefer to caulk it. There's a lot of companies like Diamond Coat makes the H-clips. I don't like them, I think they're ugly. They've got other methods of doing this. I like the old school way of just caulking these joints because I haven't had any failures with it. So I just keep doing it this way. Typically, if we're gonna paint this, I'm either using Big Stretch from Sashco or in this case, Lexel. I'm using white Lexel this time because I want it to dry really fast, okay? This has got a really good elasticity to it, so it'll expand, contract, it'll move with the siding. To prevent myself from getting caulk all in the grain of the siding, I've done every job this way. Cheap painter's tape, I tape both sides. I'll show you how quickly I can do it here in just a second. The key here is to make sure that you fill the joint. Now, if you'll look closely, I'm not just putting sealant on the surface of this joint. I am filling this sucker up. By doing it that way, you give yourself a little bit of room if that sealant decides, hey, I'm gonna shrink back. Now you take your putty knife with a little tape on it, that way you don't have to clean it up. You just smash it off there one time, man. It's just too dadgum easy. Boom, we're done. That caulk joint is perfect. We don't have caulk in the grain of the siding. Now, yeah, you say, oh, you're not gonna do that on a whole house. Yes, I will, and I've done it before because it's fast and easy. It's really fast and easy. So I'll do this bottom joint. Boom, that side's done. And this tape, this is like the cheapest painter's tape you can buy from Menards. It's called Painter's Mate. I'm using it for just a couple seconds. Once you do this a few times, you get pretty doggone fast at it, honestly. But I just want to make sure I fill that gap. And once again, typically I'll use Big Stretch or Sashco's exact color in this situation, but we're not using pre-finished siding here, and I need it to dry really fast. So I'm using Lexel. Perfect joint. Well, that is some pretty good progress for today. All of our trim installed. You can see that we hung this trim down a little bit because it's not quite wide enough. All of this is gonna get covered by that rake. We've got our beautiful Lexel sealant drying in the sun. That'll be really nice and dry by tomorrow morning. And so we've got both of these ready to go up with the skid steer. So that's gonna be really nice. And we've got them oriented correctly. Obviously this one faces this direction and that one is going to face that direction. Once we get our LVLs up, we can install our first one, and we do have some, you know, offset hurricane ties for those for uplift resistance. But man, I'm tired, I'm worn out. That's a good amount of work done that we don't have to do on ladders. So I'm proud of that. All right, Kay.
That bracket,
yeah,
it needs to be in the middle. So go down and check, make sure I get in the middle. Is that about the middle?
yeah.
All right.
You're close enough.
All the way back.
Time to put up our beam, folks. I need to put a screw in mine. We are using these 5-inch U2 fastener universal screws because, okay, what you need?
Just a little.
Towards what?
Me.
Okay? All right, okay. So we're using these 5-inch U2 fastener universal screws because I've got the heavy duty, the big construction screws from U2 fasteners ordered, and they have not come in yet. They're supposed to come in today, so we'll probably these are just temporary. We're gonna pop these back out probably tomorrow. All right, beautiful, man. That's got both of our beams in place, and we're basically ready to put that gable end truss on. All right, we've got the truss ratchet strapped to the forklift, or the skid steer with the forks. Here's what we've got, folks. We've got 8-inch U2 fastener construction screws we pre-drilled straight down through. That will tie us to our LVLs on each end and hopefully kind of help stabilize things. So we got those ready to go. We're gonna go ahead and lift it up. We're ready to rock. Okay. Whoa. There we are. Okay.
Can you see?
Oh, I can see. Three-inch ring shanks, folks. 3-inch ring shanks. It really helps to pre-mark those.
Yeah. I don't have to let them see it.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is bad.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to put in 2 rolls of braces down through the center of that thing.
Yep. Oh, I went too far, didn't I?
Had it.
Yeah, you did. There we go. That's pretty good. Time to do some plumbing. I need to plumb this up. You know what? I think I'm gonna go like that. What's wrong with that? Ain't a doggone thing wrong with that. Right there. You see anything wrong with it, Kay?
That'll work.
And once again, D-ring. There we go. Okay.
Start cranking.
I'm working on it.
Go down.
I'm just going to do one click at a time.
Well, that shows perfect.
Well,
go one more click. Let's see what it looks like. Just one click. Whoa, that's just a little over, and I say
yeah,
we keep
I think so.
Okay, now
We just need to leave this on for a little while, you know? We'll just leave it on while we're lathing. Now that we've got these gable walls plumbed up, we got a ratchet strap in place. We've got a nice runner across the bottom here, tying all the trusses together, which straightens things up dramatically. We're putting this cross brace up here. All right, you all right, Kay, right? I need to be about right. About right there is great for me.
go ahead.
Okay, you got it held?
I got it held.
All right. So I use pocket holes in framing all the time. I love them. It's a real nice connection. Now I got to move over just a hair. There we go. And then I'm just using U2 fastener universal screws. They are fantastic for that application. Nice and tight. All right, Kay. I don't think those others will do any good, so I'm gonna put them in. See, I'm in a crack right here, so there's no point. Now that we've got all of our bracing down low, we're gonna do some more bracing, but we really wanna get some lath going. So we're gonna do that. Yep, sure. Put it wherever you want. You good right there?
I'm good right now.
All right, let me push mine up.
Here you go, son.
Okay. Now, call me crazy.
You're crazy.
Call me crazy. All right, you want me to push up a little bit? Do I need to? Oh, you need to come down.
According to my line.
Okay. You do whatever you need to do, man. Call me crazy, but I'm going nail than a screw. I'm going nail than a screw, dude. We're just in such a high wind zone, man. I just... All right, folks, let me just explain this for a second. The reason I'm doing it this way is because we're in Arkansas, we have tornadoes. You're not gonna stop a tornado from taking a building like this or a structure like this. It's not gonna happen. However, if I can help prevent it, I'm gonna do everything I can to do it. These are U2 fastener universal screws. They are structurally rated, so they will bend, because you know, typically you wouldn't build a building like this out of just screws. You want nails because you want shear strength, right? Well, I'm putting one nail and then I'm gonna put one U2 fastener screw. Here's the reason. We're putting on exposed fastener metal roofing here, and so many times, you can go ahead, Chase, while I'm explaining. So many times we have seen metal roofing peeled off of the structure and the lath are still attached to the metal. So for that reason, those nails are the weak point. You're good right there. Those nails are the weak point. If I can keep the lath fastened to the truss, I'm gonna do that. Hey, come back up. Come back up. I'm gonna hand you this. You can throw your screw in, dude. I'll hand you some screws. This is basically gonna ensure that these lath stay attached to those trusses, or at least it's gonna help, in my opinion. Yeah, you're fine right there. Tilt it back. Yep, there you go. So there's a number 10 by 3-inch U2 fastener. I got you another one. You might be able to get up on that and reach over, you know what I'm saying? If you climb on up, dude. Okay, good. That one shows dramatically, but I think it's wrong. You go ahead.
That's good. So.
Yeah, go ahead. Mine's good here too, so it's probably just the truss a little jacked or something. Pencil. There we go. Okay.
Good.
Yeah, I'm not bad. What that's going to do, we put that brace on both sides, and that is essentially going to tie all these trusses, these bottom cords together, and that will really stiffen things up, man.
There you go. All right. I'm going to give you some backwards measurements here.
Yeah, man, I'm ready.
Inch and 3/4. 26 and a half. No. 75.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
123.
Gotcha.
And set 171.
Gotcha.
All right, that's it.
All right, folks, we're a little bit particular on the way we install metal, and we like to do it as accurately as possible, and we always pre-drill. Some folks will tell you to punch. That's fine. We pre-drill. We get the paint over with quick, and our manufacturer allows us to do that. So read your manufacturer's installation instructions when it comes to exposed fastener metal roofing. This is the cheapest. Well, would you say this is the cheapest thing you put on there, Kay? I mean, when you factor in labor for shingles, you know what I mean?
It's cheaper than shingles.
It's cheaper than shingles when you factor in the labor,
And
at
it
least
lasts forever.
at least in our area, and it lasts forever. We don't ever have to worry about replacing a shingle that's blown off by a tornado. So we've got our lathe up here. We're 2 foot on center. Remember, our trusses are 3 foot on center. Well, our lathe is 2 foot on center, and that's really just to support the steel for that length. If you ever want to get up there and walk around on it, or like we're going to be installing it, it doesn't cost that much extra to go 2 foot on center. That works very well for us. Now, here's the other thing. We are not going to be installing or fastening through every single one of those laths. We are going every other one. That fastening schedule has always worked really well for us. So that's what we're going to do. So that's why we've got our measurements here. And that's the center of the lathe. So that at the bottom, if you pull a tape from the top, like Kay's doing here, he's gonna mark at 171. 171 is our bottom measurement. Now, when it comes to fastening the bottom, what do we wanna make sure we do, Kay?
We'll put 2 in the bottom.
We're gonna put 2 fasteners in the bottom. This is an important detail, folks. Even though throughout the field, as we'll call it, the rest of the steel, it only gets 1 fastener per rib, okay? So 4 fasteners across. These panels are approximately 3 feet wide. At the bottom though, you've got uplift, wind uplift. And if you'll read manufacturer's installation instructions, they will tell you not only where to put the fasteners, but how many to put in each panel. We don't pay as much attention to that on spans. We've pretty much figured that out. We haven't lost any panels. We've never had a roof blow off, really. So we don't pay as much attention to that because we're always just going every 4 feet. That's kind of our fastening schedule for a structure like this. However, we do pay close attention on where to put the fasteners, and we do pay attention to putting 2 in the bottom. This will do 2 things. We go back to what I said at the outset. Yes, it's good to have that. The main reason is to have that wind uplift. The bulk of your load when you get a high, strong, straight line wind or a tornado is at that bottom edge. So we want to keep it flat and tight to the deck at all times. But also, it just looks better. If you take your eyes and look up the sheathing, or look up the roof, you're drawn to this bottom eave right here. And if you don't put 2 fasteners in it all the way across on every rib, you'll see a little bit of a gap in between each fastener. You can see a gap up underneath between the steel and the decking. So that's another reason that it's really important to put 2 fasteners down here. So what Kay's doing right now is he's just going down through here. We've got this planned out. This is what we call our small rib, or our overlapping rib. This is what we call our big rib, or our underlapping rib. This side does not get a fastener because of the fastening schedule. So we're going to be to the right side of the rib. If this is the top, right, Kay? Yep. Okay, so I'm kind of looking down from the top. There you go, I got you hooked. So we try to even these up at the bottom. You can see that the steel manufacturer didn't cut these exactly to length, but we've got them butted up together at the bottom. We're doing, how many panels is this? Eight panels?
This will be 8. This will be
8 panels on each side. So we're doing them separately or individually. So this side, we're gonna pre-drill right now. So we're gonna put a fastener on our overlapping rib side to the right of it, if you're looking at the top, to the right of that rib, to the right of that rib, and then Kay's coming up this section right here. He'll have 1 more fastener here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 total fasteners in the field all the way down through there every 4 feet. That's going to be our fastening schedule for this particular building. Other than the bottom, we go on both sides of the rib. We want that sucked down tight. Now you might notice we're going to have a little bit of an extra overhang on this. That's just personal preference. Kay wants a little bit more overhang. It didn't cost him any more money. Typically we would only overhang about 1 inch, 1.5 inches max. For this, what are you gonna have here, Kay? About a 2-inch overhang? Something like that?
Something like
about a 2-inch overhang, just a little bit of extra protection. He doesn't have a whole lot of trees that he's worried about smacking the edge of it and bending it down.
If I decide to put a fascia on, I'll have room.
There you go. So he's planning for the future, because this particular, it's just a carport, and he really doesn't care about putting even a sub fascia on this. So at least not right now. So right now that he's got all these marked, 1/8 inch drill bit, that's what I always use. And typically I'll use an electric or corded drill. I've got one that's a lot faster than this one, but it's only 8 sheets, so it shouldn't really take that long to pre-drill all of these. And down here, here's that double fastener pattern that I was calling out earlier. We're almost pre-drilled. This only takes a minute. Now before we install our steel panels, I am a hardcore believer in installing a vapor barrier, or a moisture barrier really, I guess is what you'd call it. Here's the thing, in our area, we get a lot of condensation, and even in this open building, if you do not install some form of moisture barrier, over time, that steel can sweat from, condensation, from heating, cooling, all that stuff, and it'll take a long time, but eventually it can cause damage to the lathe, or the purlins as some people call it. So we take the extra step. It's $100 for a roll of this stuff. This is just synthetic roofing felt, like a shingle roofer would use. Real cheap. We just roll it out vertically, because this is not really a second barrier of protection for us for a leaky roof. This is more for condensation.
Here we go. I gotta go down and get some more.
Yep, gonna have to get some more synthetic felt, right?
Oh, probably not gonna have enough finish here.
Dang. Well, at least we can get a start on the steel. All right, folks, I want to show you something cool that we do detail on all of our steel roofs. This is how we get our panels extremely straight without a whole lot of hassle and problems and frustration. I'll show you exactly how we do it. This is This is an interesting process. And this one we're doing a little bit different. All right, so I'm just gonna hook this top lathe. Kay's gonna pick a number. He's just gonna pick a number down there. I put 171 down there. So that's about the center of the lathe, folks. So he's just picking a number. So see how I'm hooked on this top? From the top down, he's marking a tick mark at 171 inches. I did the same thing down there. Now we need to pop a line across that entire bottom. We're gonna transfer that line to each panel that we install. If that line's perfectly straight with this ridge, because that's all it is, it's just a reference of this ridge. If this building's even remotely straight, those panels, regardless, those panels will be as straight as that string line is, because we're just gonna transfer the line onto the panels, and I'll show you how we do that. First, we gotta pop this line. Pull it tight.
Got it?
Got it now, snap it.
Basically 4 inches.
About 4 inches. So folks, that's the top of our sheets. If we measure down 171 inches, which ironically is where our holes are for our fasteners, if you measure up from the other direction to where 171 is, it's actually 4 inches from here. I know I'm trying to make this more complicated than it is. Basically, we're transferring that chalk line to these panels. Every single sheet, other than the first sheet. The first sheet, we have to mark it on both sides. That's how we'll get our first sheet square with that line. We're marking 4 inches up from the bottom on this side, and Kay is marked 4 inches up from the bottom on this side. If I put that tick mark right there on that chalk line on both sides, that panel will be square to that building. Here's the key. Our first sheet is on. Chase is up top lining his up, but he's not worried about his up top yet. I'm worried about mine down low. Here's the first step. We know this sheet is right. So I want to line up my lap here, and I want to line up the bottom of the sheet perfectly, like so, and I want to go ahead and put this screw in. That screws in, we're lined up. Now I completely pivot around to this side. Kay has marked this for me. What I need Chase to do, I'm just off just barely a hair. I need him to twist it that way, just a hair, man. That's it. Oh, too far. Come back. Whoa, right there. Don't move. What we're doing there, folks, is we're just flexing it to make sure it stays a little bit straight. We call it stretching the steel. We're stretching the steel. I'm on. You ready?
Yeah. Beauty.
There we go. I'm on the money right there.
That does not look like as much as it is.
Good.
Hanging over. No, that ain't.
Yep, you got it. You got it. All right, let me get mine. Wow. All right, I'm perfect right there. Hold. You good? Here we go. You want that even, right there. Now on the other side, there's our mark. Right there's perfect. Chase is up there putting in the last few fasteners in the field. And now that our steel is installed, let me move this ladder out of the way just so that you can see. I haven't even looked at this yet because I already know it's perfectly straight. But I'm gonna show you folks at home. The sun's in my eyes. Let me turn around. This is a perfectly straight eave right here. How about that? So So if you follow the tip end of that steel down through there, perfectly straight. Now let's go to the other side. See what we got going on up in here. It looks good, right? Looks really good. We come over here. See if you can see that. Let's see how straight that is down through there. Nice, right? That's the way it should look. It's really time to get some trims going. The only things we like, and that's going to be our rake trim. This is residential rake, and then our caps. So right now we've got to put the rake on first. So Kay's measuring that to length. Unfortunately, this particular manufacturer only sells what, 10'6" steel, Kay? That is a real shame. Not even 10'6", which is pitiful. So check different manufacturers, because I would have liked to have seen one piece of rake up through there, and I know Kay would have as well. So we've got our rake trim installed. That was pretty simple. And now we're installing our cap, and this is a little detail we like to do on our cap. We'll just cut about a 1/2 inch off of these two tabs, and that allows us to fold this tab over, and it basically eliminates that little gap. Wasp like to climb up in there. All right, so what Chase is doing down there is he's gonna line me up. I wanna get on that ridge right there, and then I actually need to get about right there. I think I can actually see it, Chase. You just want to line up the peak of this trim with the actual ridge. I think I'm good right here. So I'm going to go ahead and put a stitch screw right here. All right, folks, we use stitch screws for this particular application. These are metal to metal stitch screws. So you're not hitting any wood, you're just attaching the cap to the steel that's already there. All right, about right there, ain't it? Okay. All right, I'm gonna go about the center of that rake. So I'm gonna go the extra mile with this one. So what I'm gonna do, Chase,
You want to make sure you're good down there.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm not worried about that yet.
All right.
I'm just gonna mark this real quick. And I'm going to use Through the Roof. Through the Roof is made by Sashco, and this is the only sealant that I will use on a roof. Now, I'll use Lexel from time to time, which is very similar, but Through the Roof has it's a little bit thicker viscosity, and it can actually withstand the heat on roofs a little bit better than Lexel. At least that's what the folks at Sashco tell me. There we are. Now we go into that lap like so. Okay. Now, Chase, if you want to go ahead and line that up down there, I will get a couple fasteners in this. You feel pretty good about it? Okay. I'm gonna get mine setting. Something that I wanted to draw your attention to specifically on this cap is the direction of the seams. Most of the weather in this area comes from the southwest, which is that direction. So any driving wind and wind-blown rain, we want the seams facing the opposite direction. So that's why we started with this piece and worked our way that way. That way our laps were lapped correctly. But even then, we took the extra step to put some Through the Roof sealant in the seams, and they're overlapped really well. We should never have a leak there. Stitch screws all along the cap. Well, our U2 fastener construction screws have arrived, so I'm going to install those today in these LVLs. Remember, we used the U2 fastener universal screws just as kind of a temporary hold, and while they're holding okay right now, we feel more comfortable beefing things up a little bit, so we're turning to the 5/16 by 5 inch construction screws, and these are structurally rated, and they have charts for all your load calculations and all of that, which is really nice. Good company, U2 Fastener. What I like about these screws, the machining of the recess is so precise that the bits stick really well to the fastener. So it's time to drive a couple of these, or back a couple of these out, and then drive a couple of the new ones in. We're going to replace all those screws real quick. That's got that portion of this project wrapped up. All the construction screws have been installed all the way around, and you can see we've put this band board here at the bottom, a treated band. That's just going to kind of contain the gravel and keep it out of the grass. We've got a lot more gravel to put in here, obviously, but we've already got to start, so it's time to start parking some vehicles in here. Well, that's going to do it on this video. I certainly appreciate everyone following along, and I hope you enjoyed the style of video, the how-to, step-by-step style. I tried to show as much information as I could, how we do it. If you enjoyed it, if you learned anything at all, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button at the bottom. It really helps the channel out, and consider subscribing. We've got how-to videos just like this one and lots of tool reviews coming out all the time. I appreciate you tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.